Call this meeting to order. This is the Board of Construction Appeals, November 20th, 2024. Mr. Smith, Mr. Vice Chair, could you say a prayer?
Yes, sir. Lord, we just thank you for all your blessings that you've given us and all your provisions, and we pray that you would give us the wisdom to know what to address here and what needs to change and what needs to remain. We just thank you for all you do for us. Bless us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Wright, could you lead us in prayer?
Sure will.
In the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Secretary, could you call the roll?
Barry Briley, are you
Present.
here, sir?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Roger Smith?
Present.
Mr. Bruce Quinn?
Present.
Mr. Brian Lynch?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jim Monahan? Mr. Michael Williams? Mr. John Janone? And Wally Gilliam.
All righty. Everyone looked over tonight's agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. Oh, I skipped over our approval of, as everybody's been emailed a copy of the minutes from the prior meeting. Has everybody looked over those?
Yes.
Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. There's nobody from the public that has signed up to speak. Report of the chairman. The only thing new that I really want to talk about a little bit here real quick before we get into this is back to this addresses that we had spoke with emergency services about. I spoke with Dr. Langford, Director of Schools, the other night about engaging the school district there to be able to send stuff home with students concerning this. So I would like to pull, not only, and he agreed he would do that, send it over to the art department there to send something fancy out to all the parents. I think that'd be a good strategy to save county money. Let's get the message out. I'd like to engage all the departments here, Cindy Williams from up in property, and even the county court clerk, possibly get Dr. Langford in here to kind of spitball with us all, including the EMS at some point in time, Marshall, so we could spitball and strategize and come up with a county-wide approach as much as we can to get that message out to so it's not expensive to the taxpayers and gets the message out there. So
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I just want to let you know that I did speak with Cindy Williams on maybe attaching something to the tax bill that gets sent out, and she said get with her late October, early November, and she would accommodate.
okay. My thoughts on that, we probably already missed that deadline with her, but this is going to be at least a year-long work in progress to get this message out. I mean, it's going to take us a good year, in my opinion, to ensure everybody's got the message before we start going out and finding people for not having it. So perhaps next year on her, if we could get them with tag renewals, things like that, just a little piece of paper. Hey, this is just to let you know. So if we can, y'all are here all the time. If you figure out a way to engage them, to reach out to them. But I'd also like EMS to get back with us to see what ideas they have on, and if that's good with them, and then get legal to possibly come up with the correct wording to put in a notice to go out to people. We wouldn't want to just throw that out there without advice of legal, I don't think. So.
Okay. Will do.
All right. All right, on to old business. We're back to our discussion on this here, and I'm going to turn this over to Todd because he's been doing a fine job leading us through this.
I know the last time we were here, we got a little bit past on page 17 of the shipping containers, but I just wanted to make sure what we have here, just kind of speaking to residential use of it, and did we want to, there's a little bit of we're using some pretty detailed language for storage, and I think we're okay with that. Then we had minimum requirements for a residential dwelling, and if you go down there to the end, we got the engineers would have to okay it, the planning director would have to okay it, Marshall, building and codes director would have to okay it. Would we want that specific property being used for a resident go through the BZA, have the owner come before the BZA and say, hey, I'm fixing to build a resident, and also I wanted to know if we were gonna decide, can we make a resident out of one shipping container, because that looks just like a single wide, which they don't allow in the county? Would you want two? Would there be a minimum of 2 shipping containers?
So, just a question, because I'm not sure. I thought the guidelines on a single wide trailer had to be at least on 5 acres, correct?
They changed it. They don't have any single wides anymore.
So we've completely eliminated the
Yes,
single
sir.
wide,
Yes, sir.
from,
So that, just something to consider.
Well, let me ask you this. What's considered a mini home?
It's 700 square feet for a tiny home.
It's a tiny home.
Yeah.
what's the
So that
approximate?
would be a good argument
Yes,
against
I agree.
having
It would have to at least be 700 square feet of interior space.
two.
And what's the storage container? 40 by
They're
8?
usually 40.
40 by 8?
Yeah, what is, they're probably gonna
That's
have,
320.
Yeah.
so then
You'd
that
have to
would,
at least be 2, if not more.
have to have 3,
You have to have 3.
Good point, Roger.
Do we want to have that language in there though, say it must be 3
Golly.
plus?
If you're using it for a residential,
Yes,
Just
it
as a
just
home residence.
this don't apply to storage.
just for a residential.
I'm gonna listen to some of your other opinions here, Bruce and Brian.
So if the
I would
well-
say so. I mean, if tiny homes are already in the books at that, I mean, that needs to be your floor, doesn't it, for square footage? Of anything you can put out there?
Okay.
I mean, there's a time that you can get too small, and it's a hazard. It could be a hazard being too small.
Yeah.
RV, for example. Not that we live in it, some people do, but
Yeah.
I mean, a small little travel trailer. So yeah, I think at least 3.
The research I've done on, there's 2 standard sizes, a 20 by 8 and a 40 by 8.
Oh, there's 40?
That's
Right.
3.
Most
Yeah,
of them
that's
are 40
right.
by
That's
8.
3
Yeah.
twins.
So you might want to be specific
Two
on what
would be
size.
640, you're right.
I would just leave it as a tiny home, same square footage, or larger,
700.
and that way you're
So
covered.
at least 3. Okay. Another question I had is, I got a little bit of a split out for underground shipping container for storage. I was talking to one guy, he said, yes, I inquired about that, but they're not engineered to take side
they're not.
loads. And he says, you have to have all this structural from top, side, and, you know, and I wondered if we wanted to put that language in there, because are we gonna leave it up to the homeowner to be smart enough to know that, or not?
Me, I'm on the side on the, with the homeowner, I think that's his responsibility. If he's willing to store his things in there and jeopardize losing those, and it's bad. I think
But
that,
himself too.
I think we'll,
I saw something about that, because people were trying to use them for storm shelters.
That
And they were
too,
talking about putting the ground up against it, and those things just totally collapsed.
Yeah.
Like you have to go with gravel, concrete, all this mess.
yeah.
so,
But
yeah, I mean, if it's not a residence and there's,
it's underground, yeah.
yeah. I don't know, I'll defer. What do you think, Mr. Quinn? You're quiet.
Well, I'm running through several different questions in my head right now. Gable or hip roofs, is that only? I mean, will you shed roofs on that as well? As long as they got a slope, or do they have to be gable or hip roof?
Whatever y'all want to decide and whatever the commissioners vote on is fine with us, but.
Here's my question. The second question is, we talk about putting them on a slab or on a crawl space type foundation, even on storage side. How are they gonna be permanently mounted or secured? Are they gonna have to have sill plate bolts or some kind of anchoring system? Or if somebody backs a tractor into it, is it gonna knock the thing off the crawl?
Well,
I mean, if it's not secured to the ground, it can't be viewed as real property. You know, be viewed as a home. At that point in time, it's more personal property, which means it can travel.
Correct.
that's a
Anything
good
that
point,
can be-
it has to be permanently,
be-
Affixed.
Okay, it
affixed.
doesn't say that in here, it just says if it's 18 inches above for a crawl space. Okay, so I can build up a 2-block crawl, drop one of them things on top of it, not attached to the first thing up there, other than just gravity holding it on
That
those
would be
blocks.
bad news.
It's gotta be anchored.
Some self-tapping metal screws and rub it to.
It would
Just put
have,
some strong tie straps on the side, but, you know.
Yeah.
it'd have to be permanently, anchored, it'd have to be a minimum of 3 block high to meet the code requirements of a crawl space. And if there's things in here that aren't addressed and we get out there and there's a concern or we talk to them, we'll just, for the most part, just tell them to, get us an engineer letter and have the engineer address any concerns that we may have. But if y'all want to put any detailed language in there, feel free to do so.
I think that, once this goes over to planning, they're probably gonna address all those details in depth, Bruce, so. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I'm just, right now, I'm worried about should we put anything in there about any underground storage containers, and I'm gonna say no, but y'all changed my mind. I know Brian don't like to hear me say that.
No, I mean, I'm fine with it. I mean, when it comes to the underground storage,
Yeah,
I agree with what you said, you know. It's up to the homeowner at that
Yeah.
point in time. I mean.
How many of them do their due diligence?
Well,
or
I
they
know, and
just
I
buy
thought,
one
that's
from
what
a
I was
lot
about to
for
say was,
109?
you know, what danger does it,
pose to human beings.
yes. Like,
I mean,
we
that's-
talked
but
about
that's my
dangers
only
and everything
snag.
else. What is this, what is an underground storage, what is that?
My only snag is if a child goes in there to play or something other than we have you know, that's why I'm kind of
I
listening.
got that here too. Should we have an
Yeah.
honors obtain an engineer report as far as the egress and everything? Make sure that's safe.
Guys.
That might not be a bad idea, because, I mean, just the hydrostatic pressure from the soil itself is gonna be significant, and I've seen basement walls give under
Yeah.
that, and considering how thin these things are,
And not to mention, it's gonna, with all the moisture around, it's eventually going to rot.
Yes.
Roger.
He said that as well. The guy
The
said
rest
the
of the fall apart,
corrosion.
yeah.
The, anytime anything is welded, if you're putting bar joint stuff or welded or whatever, you have to get a secondary inspection. You have to hire your own inspector.
Mhm.
I think that's what needs to happen here. You need to put it back on the homeowner, that y'all need an engineering letter stating that what they've done is
Okay.
the
Do
strength.
do y'all want this in there at all?
Well, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I'm gonna,
Storage, is that a bad idea?
I don't think it needs to go in there.
Okay.
But it has to be permitted regardless, right? It has to
Yes.
be permitted.
Is this a big issue? I mean, I
Yeah.
have not come across this. I didn't know if people were taking this into
I think more about, storm shelter maybe.
Yeah, the storm shelter.
And it's
Yeah,
coming,
that.
it's coming more and more,
Yeah.
because everybody asks me
And is
about it.
somebody gonna say it's storage?
Not everybody, a
and
lot
use it
of-
for a
Correct.
storm Shelter, yeah.
Yeah, it's coming.
The apocalypse is coming. That's, you know what I mean?
so, yeah, I'm gonna agree with the guys that, yeah, we need an engineering letter.
Engineer, okay.
And I think a detailed drawing of what you're gonna do needs to be done during the permitting process, to where you know what's gonna happen, you know what you're gonna have to go look for and look at, and then that additional engineering letter from whomever.
Well, we'll need to know what's being used for, whether it's underground
Exactly.
storage or if it's gonna be storm shelter or whatever,
Mhm.
so.
And if it looks like it don't have all that, then send Todd inside to inspect it. Todd, you
That's what I was gonna say, somebody's gotta
gonna.
go in that puppy.
Kinda like a tunnel rat in Vietnam.
Go for it.
Oh, man. Okay. Do y'all have anything on the swimming pools and hot tubs?
We had, one of the commissioners previously wanted to come in here and speak about stagnant water left in swimming pools. They never showed up, so I don't have any insight whatsoever as to what they wanted.
I could speak to that. It was over, one of the files I have. They were saying that these people on and off have been on my radar, and they cut the grass, they don't cut the grass, they have 4 or 5 cars out front. Truth of it is, they're probably doing some sort of mechanical business out
Yeah.
of there, but they've signed the affidavit and saying we're not, and Josh has worked with them and whatnot. Anyway, the pool, it's brown, and I don't know what authority I have to go in there
Well,
to,
that's my concern, see, and right here, I mean, I got a hot tub, and, you know, I don't want you guys showing up and sticking a test strip in there to see if I've been peeing in my hot tub or whatever. How much authority is this giving you to come and invade my privacy? That's kind of one of those areas that I hate to get into, but,
I'll be honest, we got so much to deal with right now, we can't keep up.
yeah.
We just sent out a notice of action today, put it on a website that we're gonna start pulling temporary signs that's in public right of way. We don't have staff to do it, but we're all gonna get out there and try to do it, so.
Well,
Anything that y'all can do to keep the burden
Yeah.
increasing, we really appreciate it.
Now,
So-
swimming pools cover a lot of the TCA anyway, so I mean, most all that stuff's already written.
Katie Beth
This
law
is
and
just
everything.
redundant for the county, basically. I don't see the need to go any further into it.
Clean and sanitary,
and that's subjective, what you
It is
consider.
subjective,
So, I mean,
okay. I'm hearing y'all say, take that particular
Yes.
part out. Okay.
yes, based off of the, yes.
Yep.
Unless you've got alligators in there, then we need to talk.
Yeah.
We're supposed to have a fence around it, so it'll be all right.
Mhm.
Okay, basically we've got fencing, we're talking about the particulars of fencing. Let's see. And Marshall looking at properties and condemning. On Twingy, I was just saying, I don't know how I'm gonna go about getting on that property. Marshall he can go anywhere he wants to, and if I see that, I can tell him about it. Say, hey, man, I got a problem. So I'm just throwing things up for
Where are you?
conversation.
Where are you at?
Page 20 and 21 should be highlighted.
Oh, okay.
Okay, notice and inform the property
See, I
owner.
can't go on the property without permission,
Correct.
but Marshall can.
And the reason they say that is because whenever the county issues a permit, then the inspectors have a right to follow up on the permit, unannounced or whatever, so. But it doesn't really state that in the health and safety regulations. And according to the legal advice we received, you know, our health and safety inspector really doesn't have the liberty to just go on somebody's private property.
So we're adding in there that you do have the right, or we're? Okay, okay,
We're just saying that inspector shall post on the premises condemned if it is.
okay,
And we can
okay.
get around that without, that was just a question.
No, I mean, that's,
All good,
yeah, that's good with me.
okay. All
We
right.
don't spell condemned right in the final draft.
Sorry about that.
That's strike two, Tom.
We're just gonna put dangerous property, do not enter.
Danger.
What, I got too many M's in
You got
there?
too many gyms in the room
We
tonight.
found
I did
alligators
too,
here,
didn't I?
stay out.
Oh, bless it. Mhm. I like this one here. I wanted Steve to comment on it, right there on chapter 5, owner responsibilities. I want to put the tenant in the line of, accountability for this too. You know, like I go to a lot of places, they're renting out and the tenant's junking up the place and,
Well, thank you,
So you
yeah.
should- so you should
Welcome to
add-
my world.
Right?
You're just gonna add the word tenant in there?
Yes,
Keep
sir.
the owner still?
yes, all of it, yeah. Held jointly liable for each code violation, because they're like, well, I'm trying to get him out, but he won't leave, and
So,
so when we go to court, if it goes to Steve and we get a warrant filed, that both of them gotta show up.
okay. Any fines incurred would be,
I guess they'll have to work out, he and Eric can work that out, and
Okay.
and the judge.
from my perspective, I like that, given what I see in the world, so yeah, I mean,
Okay.
Well, plus most lease agreements have the tenant is responsible.
it is in all my lease
Yeah,
agreements.
for-
Tenants
yeah,
are
I
always
mean, that's-
responsible for any
yeah.
code violations, HOA violations, so. But it's nice that you're reiterating that in there, so.
Okay.
But actually, if this passes where the Board of Construction Appeals is gonna integrate the health and safety standards, this stuff will be coming to y'all,
Yeah,
so.
What happens if it's one of my tenants?
And have
You have to
to
recuse
accuse
yourself.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely. Maybe.
We're on to 22, certified mail.
Yeah, I was just checking if there should be any other way. I don't really have anything else. It jumped up to me, of course, y'all, whatever y'all want to talk about, for sure.
Are you saying you don't have any more yellow on here?
Not too much.
My goodness.
Daggone
I mean, it just does seems pretty cut and dry.
it. So we changed that to 60 days after the passage, or okay.
Yes, yeah.
So all the other things we discussed in the, before page 17 you would, is in this.
Yes, yeah.
I still need to go back and find something as far as the percentage of the building.
Yeah.
Where it constitutes dilapidation. I've looked at it, but I haven't found anything. We might just have to make a decision on that.
Well,
That's
I mean,
on
how
the
do you
map.
figure percentage? You do it by, if it's a 2,000 square foot bill, or 1,000 square foot, just keep it simple. Where'd we come out at? 20%, 25%?
They were 30 to 45 is what I remember.
Okay, so I mean, that's,
But Marshall said he was gonna look in the IRC to see if there's any specific.
I did, I didn't find anything to that. I looked in the existing building codes too, I didn't find anything in that either.
okay.
I
Anything
think,
else?
I think.
That's gonna be hard to enforce.
Well, another thing would be is what part of the house is, what part of that 40% is, if the roof has been leaking for 10 years and it's 40% of the roof.
Well, yeah, that should count.
Yeah. If it's 40% of the floors inside,
Well, you can't see the floors from the road, so.
well, I know, but I'm saying, how you gonna, because there's a lot of rotted floors in Sumner County, I'm sure. I don't know.
I'll
You
look
can't,
into it.
I know you can't do that. You're just talking about physically from outside.
Yeah, this is when Todd drives by or whatever, and he says, yeah, that's, we eliminated Blythe and we went to a percentage. So if it appears to be a certain percentage in disrepair, we flag it. Anything else, John?
I just wanna make sure, on, page 12, we were talking about homes that are burned or buildings. 60 days is good. After the fire marshal and the insurance commission, we hope to have a start of cleanup in that period of time. Do y'all think that's enough? It's on page 12, 60 days after I've had a fire.
It was 30, wasn't it? And we
Yeah.
moved it to 60.
Yeah, yeah. And we're good with that, correct?
Brian? I feel like they
60
did,
days is fine.
huh?
60 days is good.
I believe so, because I feel like that if we go beyond that, then we get into a procrastination situation and we start looking for, so I mean,
Okay,
I feel good with it, as long as everybody else does.
okay. And then I think Eric was gonna give us a paragraph on page 14 to 15, so I think we're good. We talked about the semi-trailers.
Yeah.
And you said if they're roadworthy, we're not
Correct.
touching it.
You'll have to get on there.
All the way back around.
We have to get on there. So, I guess we'll, bring this back up in the next meeting so we can vote on it and send one down the road. I don't have anything under new business tonight. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Uh,
Meeting is adjourned.
Yeah.
Since when can I not have concertina wire on my fence?
Hey, Todd, you wanna steal the cameras?
What, residential?
How long have we been going through all this?
Huh?
How long have we been going through all this?
I think
It's
we
been a
got,
while.
we got 6 months vested in it at this point, it feels like. No, I think we've been going over this 4 meetings now.
Or at least 1 meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks good to that, but
Yeah, well, we still gotta vote on it, and
We
Jim,
still have a field trip he's supposed to take us on.
I know, what about our
Yeah.
field trip, Todd?
Hey, man, I'm gonna bring you some pictures. I
like
got a good
pictures.
one, I got a good one, man.
I don't
This-
learn well
This
unless I'm
story
touching
is
them.
awesome.
That's right, I'm a
This house, you
visual
can even
learner.
see this house from the road hard. I'll give
Well,
you,
they get
I'll
a
give you the
short bus,
2-minute
you have a-
version. Here's the
Maybe you
2-minute
need,
version.
maybe
Watch
you
it.
need to go on a ride along with me and my rentals in Nashville.
Yeah, I'll help you out.
Yeah, I got a brand new construction over in
Hey.
Hermitage.
Oh, here you go.
A brand new construction home over in Hermitage, and I sent somebody over to look at it. I'm in Hawaii, you know, around, it's a $750,000 home. He says, man, I opened the door and there's a homeless guy in here. I said, son of a, I said, well, just be safe, walk away. He said, no, I'll run him off. I go over there and I look, that guy's been washing his clothes in there, taking baths, and they've got, dirty, took all the screens off back, been coming through the window, dirty fingerprints and smudges all around the windows. I mean, it's just, that's why I don't live in Davidson
Well,
County.
here's my 2-minute hallmark story. So this is a house you can't even see. So I'm sending the letter out, we cut the vegetation back, blah, blah, blah. I go to church with this lady and she says, man, my family member got this letter we need to cut up, and blah, blah, blah. I said, well, cool, you got it, what's gonna happen? So the long and short of it is, her brother's son lived in a trailer beside this house. He ended up, as this got all started, had himself a horrible stroke. He was in bad shape anyway. They didn't want him to come back home to daddy, but now he's had a stroke and barely made it. So he comes back home to daddy. This thing was in probate between the lady I go to church with and the brother. They go over and take a look at this, and they hadn't been over there because the kid is there, and everybody's kind of washed themselves with the kid. They end up start cleaning up, cutting everything down. The house is not going to be livable, really. It's not tenable. But the son is with the parents, and they're loving on him and taking care of him, and everybody's happy, and the property looks great compared to what it did. And
Well,
it worked out.
that's
That's
good.
my hallmark story.
Well, we'll tell the truth, Todd. You took a sickle over there and put it in the stroke man's hand. You had him out there with a 5-foot swab.
You was swinging it.
He's like, I don't want to hear excuses.
Hey, man,
I
I'm
just
gonna say, oh, I got one,
Don't
man.
part
There's no
vacation
telling what
up
kind of
there.
stories you hear. Either truthful or untruthful, people trying to get out of stuff, or it's actually the truth.
I know.
I bet you could write a book on all the stories you hear.
I was happy about this one because she was stressing, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna work with you. And she, every time I saw her at church, I'm sorry we hadn't done nothing, but she
Yeah.
is torn it up over there. I'm like, you're a machine.
I have no doubt you guys are that way, and like I've always said, I mean, we all know we're not immortal. We're all gonna be gone soon, and this stuff.
Yeah, man.
Government only has a tendency, and well, it's the role of government to continue to get bigger and larger and become more. So
Yeah.
we do our part to keep it out of the ink. And
Yeah.
They wanna maintain their position instead of maintain what they were intended to do in the first place, which is take care of the people.
yeah,
Their goals change once they get in position, don't they?
I was a big fan of the Andy Griffith Show my whole life. Still watch it to this day. Andy was a fine sheriff. Well, the way he handled things, it didn't have to. You know, there's a way to handle every situation. And, so I try to would take the Andy Griffith approach. I feel like y'all do that.
So you keep
Barney
the bullet in your
Finders
pocket.
representative.
I keep my bullet in my pocket. Keep my little, you know.
So Barry, tell me this, and Marshall's gonna scald me when I get out of here. But on the addresses,
Mm-hmm.
you don't like big government.
No.
So why is it the government's responsibility for my foolish self not to have an address on my
Well, because
mailbox?
government should only exist, in my opinion, for a couple very important roles. One of them being is public safety.
Yeah,
That's a public safety act, because if my life is in more jeopardy because the ambulance can't find me because my neighbor refused, so
but
therefore,
you decided not to put the number on your mailbox. You took your own life in your hands by not putting a
Yeah,
number
but this
on
day
your
and age, somebody's gonna
mailbox.
sue somebody if the ambulance don't get there.
but the result of that is that ambulance didn't see that address, so they didn't know which way to go. So you're taking my life into your hands whenever you refuse to put your address
So
up.
you're saying that they could probably figure this one was 974, should be 972, whatever.
What if your best friend lived next door to you and you both decided to heck with the government? So you got a series of numbers that are not there, so that.
Oh, it's out there. I'm
And
just like
and
people are
these
stupid.
This costs time when the ambulances look, because they're trying to figure this out. So in my opinion, government's few roles, military, public safety,
Yeah.
and that falls into that category, so therefore I can get behind it. Anything else, all those other
Well, I
bureaucratic
agree
crap.
with Marshall too. He was like, well, you know, how about children in the houses? Cause
Absolutely.
parents are not smart enough to put a address on there. I get to all that.
Yep,
But I
that's
just-
absolutely, that's
I
the.
just wanted to hear your point of view of it.
Well, and that's what I look at, like, when we got a lot of them, if you look at, like, when I pull the Republican voters in this county and look at them by age when we're calling or whatever, a lot of elderly people in this county. So you got a lot of ambulance travel going on, I mean, you're jeopardizing their life, man, I mean, you really, every little second counts when they're out there trying to get to you, and, so I can get behind something like that. I don't consider that
Not
a big
a-
government.
It's not an
yeah, it's
encroachment
not-
on anybody's rights.
Yeah.
I have fake numbers on my house, and my VP and route service.
I do too. I got
I've seen yours,
them big.
they're fluorescent in the rainbow colors.
I wanna know.
Hey, when you called Langford, did he initially just hang up on you?
No, you know, Scott and I went to school together, we were good friends.
Oh, did you really?
He
were
called
good
me from a
friends.
different number.
And I used to kick his butt around the football field, and I used to actually spend the night at their house a
Can you
lot.
do it now?
Oh, Lord,
Did you know his
I
daddy
think
Bob
jujitsu,
Langford?
Huh?
Do you know his daddy
His
Bob?
daddy loved me to death. He coached me in all the way up from Little League football